Welcome back to the channel, y'all. I'm Connor O'Reilly, throwing for Team Latitude 64, OTB Discs, and Lucky Ace Discs. And today, we're at a very familiar course. We made our way up to Brazos Park East to have a little battle with the beast. We're 6 days out from the start of the season in Las Vegas, so super excited to get that going. And what better way to keep the tools sharp than to come practice another Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series course in Waco. I think a lot of you guys will be familiar with this track. Beautiful dichotomy of 9-ish holes in the woods, 9-ish holes in the open. You get to test all the skills out here. A lot of times you have to deal with some wind. Today, just over 50 degrees. We've got about a 10-mile-per-hour sustained wind out of the north, so definitely going to come into factor here. That is the good wind for hole 18 on the Disc Golf Pro Tour layout. One of those holes on this backside that's very wind dependent, you could say, whether or not you can go for the birdie or how aggressive you want to get. Super excited to show you guys this beautiful course in my home state of Texas. We're going to be playing the Disc Golf Pro Tour layout here today. Some of you guys might be familiar with the regular layout and where this will be hole 7, but it'll be our hole 1 today. It's a par 3 at just under 300 feet. We're playing through this gap off the tee that is as big as I've ever seen it in my years of being here. A lot of players will opt for the big spike hyzer over the top, especially depending on what the wind's doing. Off the right to left, you might not go for that play, but today we have a pretty strong tailwind, so it'll really drop the disc out of the air. It's a good line. The up the middle gap though, whether you want to go putter or mid-range, is as open as ever, like I said, so pretty enticing right now. I'm not sure which one I really want to go with to start. I'm going to play my Glow Pioneer and the high stall shot. It's typically what I go with here, and the wind will help drop it out of the air. Nice little spike down just right at the bucket. I thought it might lift and swing a little more, but had a bit too much hyzer angle for it to do that, but just enough for a nice birdie to start. Having a wardrobe malfunction today. I'm not liking how this sleeve's bunching up on me. Might need to make a change. Nice birdie to start here on hole 1. These Prodigy baskets really let you jam the putt very hard, especially in the high wind. You just got to make sure to be centered up and don't let them throw you back out. Hole 2 is a 616-foot par 4. Got this early mandatory forcing you to play it to the right of it, so you can't just play out into this big open space on the left here. The big leaning tree there in the middle is really the key feature that you got to beat with your flip-up hyzer shot if you're a right-hand backhand player. This is a very gentle wind for this hole, and it's coming from behind, but when you're facing the headwind, this one can be pretty daunting, as you need to rip something and get some distance to make this approach pretty easy. Out of bounds comes in close on that right side when you get up there. This tee shot's a lot of fun. You really get to send it. And I'm going to take my Snorlax Orbit Rive here. Bit low, but we got some nice ground play there and able to make good progress. Should be 200 feet into the pin or so. Maybe a nice little savior shot. 240 feet, still have that tailwind. Let's rip a forehand with this savior. Just long of the bucket, and got a little headwind putt coming back for another birdie look. You gotta love it out here on the beautiful Brazos River. Got this massive cliff face on the right. There's a pretty cool mammoth site down the road, not too far from here, where they found a bunch of mammoth skeletons. It's just really a special place to be. You'll often see osprey roaming up and down the river. Good place for fishing, boating. You'll see them doing like wake surfing competitions out here sometimes. I mean, Brazos Park East is the place to be, rain or shine, honestly. Get out here. Oh, also, there's another river that meets the Brazos right here, just at the edge of the park. And it's got to be one of the most like abundant places. I can't imagine if I'm, 1,000, 2,000 years ago, if you're living in this area, you're pretty happy because the land's gonna provide. Weather's gonna be pretty mild. I mean, this is early winter or late winter. Why do I say that? Early every time. Late winter? I mean, sign me up, y'all. Sign me up. closer than I even expected, so nice to grab these first two. Definitely an easier front stretch. You can grab a couple strokes before you head into the woods on these first 3 holes. If you execute, and depending on how your timing is, you might need it. At 294 feet, hole 3 offers you quite a few options depending on what's your most comfortable shot. Big open gap to the right there for a right-hand backhand player or a left-hand forehand. You've also got a couple forehand gaps to the right-hand players off to the left here. You can even play kind of a skinny straight shot at it, so really whatever you're feeling best with today or that day on this hole is what you're gonna go with. Wind off the tail still, slightly off the left. It's hard for me not to take that hyzer route with the Pioneer on the right. Or into the ground and do a magical skip up. Go. Oh, I left myself like a 50-footer probably. Threw it into the ground. Not great, not great. Some mind games I like to play. Frame myself for the 50-footers. When I step up to the 28-footer, it feels a little better, you know? Right in the heart. Been slightly trying to change my putting nose angle and wing angle just to be a little more aggressive. Ooh, I'm starting to like it. Finding it. I think by Vegas, I'll be feeling pretty comfortable. 3 holes in, and now we have entered the woods of what makes up the beast here. These can be pretty daunting at times, especially like I said, if your timing is off that day and you let a couple early misses get to you, the woods will really eat you apart. Then you get back to the open, it might be windy. I think that's where this course can really test you. Test a lot of different styles of play. And this first par 4 in the woods is such a beautiful one. I'd say it's one of the signatures out here. At 441 feet, it's not very long, but you're really handcuffed to being in a very specific area to have any access to throwing a second shot in for a birdie look. It drops off just behind the basket, maybe 15 feet to the Brazos River, so another thing to be careful for here. Really nice for a straight to overstable, slower disc in my opinion for a right-hand backhand player. I'm gonna take my harp on some hyzer, try to give it enough height to move left. Pretty sure I just center cut that thing. Could maybe get a little bit further, but I should have options. Gotta be happy with that release. Like I said, I could think about playing maybe a stable compass and trying to get way up there where I can play the straight backhand in, but this is a pretty comfortable speed for me here. Still leaves me with a very manageable approach. Let's try out that Savior again. I mean, maybe had a little more steam than you'd like to come into that green with, but I caught a tree, and honestly, I'm very happy with how that disc is coming out of my hand after not knowing it for more than maybe 15 throws so far. Ever since the release of the Savior, I've been thinking about how it's gonna work hand in hand with the harp. And right there, I just showed how, you know, they can complement each other. The harp's still very comfortable for me in the backhand. Those tournament ones are pretty straight. Played that off the tee. Savior into the green. Gotta love 4 for 4 start here at the Beast. Hole 5 is 270 feet, dead straight. First half of the flight, it's thick woods either way. Then it opens up a little bit on the left after you come up this first tier. Probably the most significant feature here is you have this double height tier right here. The last one right in front of the basket is kind of where you want your disc to hit, check, skip up the hill, land it close. It's a fun hole to throw. Don't forget to check out ThrowJoes for some of the best dyes in the game. Just got another sweet care package the other night, and check out Instagram to see all the goodies that we got. Can't wait to incorporate some of them into my bag. Had a lot too much hyzer on that one, but honestly it stood up straight. Got me to edge a circle probably. I'm not too mad with that miss. We'll clean it up on the next one. Experimental pure shot. That's the disc I've been missing at this range, really the bridge between my slower face that need a little bit of height and the compass. I might have to throw that come turning time. Let's go nice and firm into the right side chains, drop into the bucket, into the basket. I'm trying to work on taking bucket out of my old basketball nomenclature and getting to basket pin. Bear with me, y'all. I might try to get bucket out of the vocabulary, but the y'alls are here to stay, and the heres are here to stay too, y'all here. Oh shoot. I'm sure some of you hate me and some of you love me right now. Either way, I appreciate the fact that y'all are here. And we are on hole 6, very technical par 3. This one, instead of tearing up in the mid-flight, tears down and it bends slightly to the right. Really good for a straight forehand or a slightly turning backhand if you're a right-hand thrower. I never quite got comfortable throwing forehand with the harp here last year, but let's see how this Savior wants to fly. I'm gonna hit it nice and flat. We still have this tailwind working through the tree line. Hung it a little straight, and we've got possibly our first blemish of the round. No commitment. All right, first par of the round here. The 6 can be tricky. You don't hit that initial gap. You're just sending a prayer down there. Excited to play hole 7, another technical par 4. Hole 7's a par 4, right around 460 feet. That probably offers some of the most separation of any of the holes on the tour. You'll see 2s here, and you'll see 8s here. Early mandatory off the tee, forcing you to play down this tunnel. You want to fly it straight for about 200 feet and then bend gently to the left. To the right-hand player, you'll see aggressive right-hand flex forehands get down into that bowl or even up onto the tier where the basket sits for the eagle look. But you saw it off. Miss your angle, it can be tricky. That's why I like to go with the backhand, just get it out to the middle, and then I can still give it a pretty aggressive approach for my chip in too, seeing as you have kind of a backstop behind the green. I'm gonna play a touch of hyzer on this compass here, focus on hitting the gap, don't need too much speed. Squared up the final tree there on the left side that you got to beat to get out into the open. Should be able to still maybe save a birdie though. I've got enough room here that I'm liking the backhand line. Gonna play the fuse and just have it stand up, maybe drift gently right. Made it across. I think I might have dropped down up on the top shelf there. Should have some kind of obstructed putt. This is one of those courses where being dialed with your timing is really important. Last year, I threw 3 near identical shots, had just about the same range and same line on the upshot every time, and that can make a course like the Beast a lot easier and feel a lot more comfortable. For that 3 save and to not really have any kind of legitimate putt look. One of those courses though where you really have to practice your straddle putts that week, knowing you're going to be left with some tricky lies where you got to get long, you got to get creative, you got to be a little uncomfortable to give yourself a window. At 213 feet, hole 8 might feel like a must get, but you still got to earn it. Tight gap off the tee and it continues the whole way down. A lot of trees on the right side of this fairway, so you really want to push it straight, be just left of the basket. It's good to play a straight forehand or maybe a slightly understable backhand putter shot here. I'm going to play my understable faith on this backhand. Really emphasized keeping my eyes forward through the gap on this shot. I didn't need to get a big shoulder turn and really reach back. I just needed to keep my focus through the gap and let the swing happen. Also very noteworthy how steep the slope to the right of the basket is. It can really pull your disc away. Not a bad idea to land this one about 20 short, let it just trickle in. Hole 9 is another one of the signatures out here. It's a par 4, used to be called a par 5. Gotta play dead straight for the first 2/3 of this hole. Dips down into a little bowl and then bends about 45 degrees right or so. Plays slightly back up and upslope to the basket. If you can get way down into that bowl, the chip in 2 or the easy layup for 3 is there. However, if you miss this gap, this hole can spell trouble quick. This Seasoned Explorer is a money disc for this type of shot. I thought I just pured it and then my dreams were shattered. And my chances at birdie. Need my guy Gavin to give me some loving on this stiletto flex forehand. I'm okay. I'm not raging inside. Pretty brutal way to finish. A hot front 9, but it's gonna test my mental fortitude heading into this back 9. Hole 10 is one of my favorites. Reminds me of a kind of Roy G. Guerrero-esque hole. Beautiful straight power fairway shot off the tee. You can elect to go distance driver or power up on a fairway. Either one, I think, as long as you leave it in the middle, you should have less than 300 to the basket, and it slopes away, especially on the left and behind. So this is one you got to come in with some good touch. So the more distance you can get off the tee, the easier that approach can be. It's a great opportunity to showcase the new Honor from Latitude 64. I'm gonna put a tiny bit of turn on this and really drive into it. More of a flat throw, maybe a touch of hyzer even, but it really stood up. Gentle finish at the end. That's gonna be a prime time landing zone. I got maybe an extra 30 feet out of this Honor than I typically do on a good Explorer shot, giving me only 185 into the basket instead of 210 or so. And that can be the difference between birdie or not on a hole like this. I'm gonna go with my Delaware Faith, little standstill, hyzer fan grip. Oh, just past the basket. Maybe had a little too much go on that. Right in that comfortable putting range though. We got a birdie look. Even on a short putt like that, the beast will make you work sometimes. Had to go sideways foot, straddle guy there to get around the low hanging branch. 10 is always a beautiful birdie to pick up. At 285 feet, the main thing to navigate on hole 11 is keeping the disc straight and landing it just short of the basket so you can slide up into the bottom of that slope there. There's one tree in the middle you got to beat on the pure line, so watch out for that one. I'm gonna throw my pure here. Really prioritize hitting the gap. Get it to the ground somewhere, circle's edge short is honestly just fine. Wow, I've really been missing that disc. Glad to have it in the bag. Hole 11's green can be a tricky one. Definitely a hole you're gonna be very happy to put yourself on the short side of circle one. You do not want to putt from the back down at it long, or you do not want to hit the top or the cage. Rollaways happen here all the time, and then down to the left there's a lot of pockets. You could be circle one's edge and have nothing really. Hole 12 is the final hole of the wooded portion of this track. Another one that used to be a par 5 before Macbeth broke the course 5 years ago, and they said no more 18 downs. So this one became a par 4, and it's got to be one of the hardest ones to score on out here. A couple mandatories throughout on the right side keep you from just blasting it out into the open here and kind of breaking the hole. You play down into this bowl off the tee, and you got to move right pretty quickly, but not too right. You got to land it soft somewhere in the middle, leaving yourself a shot that's got to crest this hill and then finish straight to a basket that can be threed, but you got to work for it. I like playing a lot of hyzer on my straightest Pioneer, having it stand up, finish a little more gentle than a stable one might. Push the backside. Maybe I need to rethink how straight that disc is here because I like the release, but gonna be a hard 3. I'm pretty happy with a 4 from that position. Going against my more temperamental side's judgment, I'm gonna try a forehand roller and try to get up there so I can save a par. Pretty happy with that. I didn't know if a little pitch out would make it to where I could even save that 4 or not. It was going to put a lot of stress on that third shot, and I took a little bit off there. We've still got our work cut out, probably about 240 feet from the pin. Just need this fuse shot to hold gently right the whole time. Oh, I had hopes and they got shattered the way the Beast Woods know how to do. Not able to manage a par there. Once again, I'm gonna have to make an adjustment on my stability off the tee there. And I gave up strokes to both the old former par 5s here in the woods, but still got a respectable score going and time to finish strong in the Open. We're back out into the Open for the final third of this course, and thank goodness we don't have the conditions we had at Waco. In the 2022 season, we came out of those woods facing this ripping, freezing cold headwind here, and I had never been more miserable on a disc golf course in my entire life than finishing out that round. But here, we got the late day sun still beating down on us, and a really good wind to attack this hole. This is a power thrower's dream at 555 feet. You got this mandatory keeping you away from the parking lot to the right, forcing you left. Perfect for a big flexing right-hand backhand shot, or you can play a little safer out to the left. You'll see big rollers, forehands here, a lot of options. Just a matter of how much distance do you want to grab here. Regardless though, as long as you're in the Open, it's pretty attackable for birdie. Ripping on that Snorlax drive here, a little bit of turn out of the hand. Whew. Squeezed it by that mandatory tree, and it got a little bit of drift to the right before it finished. Strong to the left like the ride likes to do. Should have an open chip shot. Dealer's choice there. About 120 feet. Try to dunk this one with the Saki Bomb Slammer. When the wind's pretty low and you hit the gap here and don't miss that mandatory, it should be pretty attackable for the birdie. Hole 14 is just over 300 feet and usually plays through the triple mandatory big Zuka truss when we're here for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So we're gonna imagine that's right in front of us still, forcing us to play likely a forehand for most right-handed players in the field. I'm gonna go Pioneer on this one. I needed just a tiny bit of turn out of the hand on there. Maybe a course where I'll put a fresh Opto one back in the bag just for this shot. because the straight one would have been too straight. That one maybe a little more stable than the angle I would like to throw here. Oh, just short on the drive and on the green. Got to settle for a par here. Almost spit out at me. I gotta be careful. Hole 15 is another one of those holes out here that offers huge stroke separation. Depending on the wind, it plays either as kind of a par 3 or a 4 pseudo. Not much wind to speak of right now as we're getting late in the day. Play this one as a big bomb shot if you want to get the 2, or maybe play a forehand to set yourself up for an easy chip up for the 3. With low wind like this though, we got an attack today. Seeing as we got low wind, I'm gonna go with my more understable ride here. That hyzer stood up magically, finished just in front of the big electrical box, showing how much of a weenie noodle arm I am. One extra big high bomb for y'all. Well, I thought that thing was gonna be flexing over the fence, but once again, probably just showing me why I'll just take my forehand, chip up with a backhand, play an easy 3 here. Try to give it a little stabber. Hole 15 is a classic bait hole, and I'm determined to not let it bait me this year at the Waco Open. Check my scores, see how smart I play it. If I can go 3 for 3 with the 3s, I'll be a happy lad. 16 is another one of those borderline attackable par 4s. This one's a little harder to get though, just under 600 feet. We got the out of bounds fence on the right side. Typically we're teeing through this big truss once again, but it plays pretty close to the tee, so it doesn't affect the shot too much. Just maybe takes a little width off of it. Once again, the big key is not let your ego get ahead of you here. Play something consistent. Take a comfortable approach in. But to showcase this Raptor's Eye Rive, head over to OTB Discs, Lucky Ace Discs, or your favorite retailer. Grab one now. These things bomb, and they can handle some. Oh. I got on that thing flat into a baby headwind, and while it might have flown flat for quite a while, it finished with pure integrity. Great mix of stability and good. I didn't really realize until we got up here closer, but this big tree used to be one of the defining features that you'd either finish just around or just in front of. It's gone. Sad to see. Doesn't change the hole a ton, but does make it a little bit easier. The only other thing that would have been different in tournament there is you would have heard the funk of the elevated stanchion, as this one is typically elevated. So bottom of the basket will be more about right here. Makes this one a little trickier, as that approach can be very simple, especially for the top level of the game. 17 is a very exciting par 4. Dog legs directly right. Second shot has to carry out over the water on essentially a peninsula the whole way. You have this out of bounds line on the right side with the rough here, so you can't even penetrate into it before you find that stroke. And then you've got the walking path on the left also keeping you in. Really suits a power forehand player's shot, or if you throw a nice straight shot, that can work here too. But if you don't get to the corner, it can be really hard to get a look at this one. I'm once again going to go with that Raptor Eye Rive, hard and flat on a forehand shot. yeah, got some good legs into that one and made the distance come that much easier. Right in the prime time landing zone. Should have another forehand into the basket. 17 is definitely one of those holes that's equal part beauty and challenge. It can be a very daunting approach, even sitting in this money zone right here. I feel like these limbs have really crowded it from what it was last year as well, so gonna have to play a pretty direct forehand out over that left side of the peninsula. Just have it fade gentle, stick up in this catchy grass. Going burst pioneer here. Pretty safe, not gonna lie to you guys, I felt kind of scared of losing that disc here. I've been beating that one in for 3+ years, and maybe one of those holes where I'll have an extra glow pioneer in the bag just to have one I can whack on and not care about. Even when this grass is mowed, it can be pretty sticky, so with it being in this jungle status right now, you can really trust that your disc is not going to skip right of the basket. Circle 2 jumper here. Let's try to cash one more before we go to the daunting 18th. Reached into that cookie jar to save that par, and a little more work than I'd like to do here, especially after that money tee shot, but like I said, didn't commit to this approach. One of those holes we're having an extra backup approach overstable 9-speed. Pro move. We have arrived to the iconic 18th at Brazos Park East, at least in the Disc Golf Pro Tour layout. A hole that Simon Lizotte famously parked with a P2 putter in the tailwind. Pretty crazy to think about. Definitely one that is attackable. I've got a mid there in the tailie. I don't know about the putter. I could maybe with a pure, but I'm not trying to work that hard. It's a really good win for it today. Barely off the left shoulder, kind of off our back. And at 492 feet, this one is very attackable. Another one of those holes here on the back 9. To me, this one in 15, I feel like you could almost flip the par based off the wind direction for the day. And I wouldn't be too mad about it because they really play super different. If there's any headwind, or kind of that sketchy right to left here, it's strong enough, I'll just lay this one up, chip across. But it's great conditions right now, and we're ripping it, we're sending it, we're looking for that 2 to send it off. This is for you, Tristan Tanneman. I played that one so safe. Well, you guys, it was no guts, no glory on that send-off putt. Luckily, we didn't land in human or dog fecal matter sitting by the basket. Come on, guys, let's be better than that. That's going to be all she wrote for Brazos Park East, home of the Waco Annual Charity Open. Super excited to come and attack this course in March, play in front of the home crowds, and play on a course that I really enjoy playing. Hopefully the conditions are a little bit better than they were last year, but either way, it's going to be a great week, and I hope to see you guys out there if you're living anywhere in Texas. This has been a valuable warm-up round, getting ready for Las Vegas, less than a week away. Super excited to get out there and to try my hand against the best of the world for the 3rd year straight. Super excited for the best year in disc golf history and the best year in my career. Thanks again for joining y'all. I'm Connor O'Reilly for Team Latitude 64, OTB Discs, and Lucky Ace Discs. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any of the content we'll be bringing all season long. We ain't stopping now, y'all.